Hey, everybody, welcome to Sal's House, a project from Capaccio Media, brand new company that my wife and I formed not too long ago to kind of just bring you some interesting people and interesting stories. This is really the second episode, I guess 2.5, because we can count two episodes as one when we had John Scott, Matt Perino, and Josh Reid on the first episode. We turned it into two episodes, but thanks a lot for coming aboard. Got something really special. I don't want to waste too much time, so thanks for coming on the Sal Sports YouTube page. That's where all of these shows are going to live. I have my friends who've come into Sal's house, and I appreciate all of them. You know them as the founders of BillsMafia. I got my man Del Reid, 26 shirts right here, Breyon Harris, and Leslie Wille. Thank you for coming. I appreciate all of you coming to my house. A little bit of a drive. It's a rainy November night. It's Thanksgiving week. All right, we're all thankful for a lot of things that we've been given and we have, and we could talk about all of that. But let's just kind of start with the story of BillsMafia, because I know a lot of people have known the story maybe from afar. They've read it, a lot of websites and things like that. But here you all are kind of in person that can kind of tell us a little bit more of the ins and outs. So Del, I'll start with you. You want to give the kind of the main version or where it began? I think we all know a little bit about Stevie Johnson, but maybe a lot of people aren't really familiar. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, real quick, I want to say this is fun because it was like 12 and a half years ago when we were on your Ustream show or whatever it was.
Justin TV, Ustream, we did it all.
Yeah.
I know.
And you had the three of us on, and I remember feeling like that was our big break. Like we made it. We were on Sal's shows. This is kind of a fun full circle thing.
And by the way, then we didn't have sponsors. I totally forgot. I should tell you, everybody, because I'm going to tell you a few times. This one sponsored by Sports City Pizza Pub. Sports City Pizza. They have great pizza and wings. All right. So we're going to head there afterwards, 1407 Niagara Street. So thank you for saying that. 12 and because I remember back then, it's like, how do you maximize this platform? And now here we are. Look at this, all being able to do this today.
It's insane. It was on like a three-way call or something.
Yeah, I know.
Three-way call.
Yeah, for real. And you're like, I normally don't have three people on at a time, but and you did it masterfully. You did a great job of all that.
I appreciate that.
Anyway, all right. So the whole BillsMafia thing. Well, it all started with Stevie's dropped pass, like you said, and then Bills fans, being the super sensitive bunch that we are, took offense that Adam Schefter just retweeted like less than a day later. And Bree started the hashtag Schefter breaking news joke. Back then with Twitter, it was always fun because some hashtag would come up and it would trend, and we all would make jokes with that hashtag, so it fit perfectly. And Adam really thought it was funny, to the point where he blocked a bunch of us.
I think that's fascinating, though. So Adam Schefter blocked. Who did he block first? Do we know?
I'm not.
Did somebody say Adam Schefter blocked?
He didn't even block her.
He never blocked me.
She got out of it.
Right.
Scott.
He didn't block you.
No,
Right.
we actually ended up exchanging a few direct messages
Wow.
talking about the situation, and
Well, tell me more about that.
yeah, I was kind of trying to plead their case and explain what was going on, and he wasn't having it. He wasn't having any of it.
Oh, he's a little upset.
Yeah.
He was a little
He
upset.
was very cordial to me.
What, did you
Maybe
guys
not.
message with him at all? No, but nothing like that. It just
No,
bam.
we might have tagged him in the tweets or something,
Yeah.
or maybe I don't know how he got it, but
It was like, well, it was Schefter breaking news,
Yeah,
right? Was
right.
like the
Right.
mocking of
Right,
because
yeah.
he was late to the party,
Right,
kind of,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
And he was doing that. I remember that. This is back in the day. We remember we had Follow Fridays on
Right.
Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Follow Fridays.
That's
We
how
used
it
to do that.
started.
Yep.
Yeah, and so he has this reaction, starts blocking. So what you did was basically, we're all together, we're a family, we're a mafia. Is that how this began?
Joke.
Basically.
Yeah, it was
Yet
joke.
another
It was-
joke.
It was an inside joke. So it started on a Follow Friday. Actually, it became this joke of like, we all got blocked by Adam Schefter for defending Stevie Johnson,
Right.
and we're like the mafia. We're like the Bills Mafia.
You come at
Taking
one of
care
us,
of
you come at
our
all of
own.
us.
Right.
We're like the
Exactly.
mafia, right?
Exactly.
All right, so then it starts to grow. BillsMafia, people bring the hashtag. When did it, though, take off with the team? You know what I mean? Like the players got involved with this, right? If I know this correctly. Go ahead.
July 31st, 2011.
He
What
knows
happened?
the date.
I should feel ashamed.
Don't you remember we did like Bill's Mafia Day for a couple of years there, July 31st?
Yeah, you didn't
That's
have to
right.
call me out on that either.
What happened?
It was Nick
Nick
Barnett, who
Barnett.
was the marquee free agent signing in 2011,
Super Bowl champion.
Super Bowl champion.
Yep.
His alter ego, Mufasa's hair, is actually the one that really he saw, or that person, whoever it was, saw a Breeze tweet to Nick Barnett saying
It wasn't actually his like a burner Twitter account from him.
No,
It
I
was
thought it
somebody
was.
else.
I thought it was at first for like months, and then I realized like, oh,
Yeah.
it's actually a real person.
Wow.
Which made a lot of the humor for me kind of like drop because he would have these conversations back and forth. And I was like, he's having a conversation with himself as a joke for everybody to see. No, it's actually a real person. But anyway, Mufasa's hair. That Twitter account doesn't exist anymore. But saw that, and I think Bree, you tweeted at it, Nick, and said, "Are you going to be part of the Bills Mafia?"
Yeah.
And then Mufasa's hair said, "I like that." LOL. And Nick jumped right on board and started using it, and he had a mouth guard.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
how surreal is that? Like, as just like some random fan in the age of like early social media, when you're just used to a fact that a player might possibly see your tweet or see your message, and now all of a sudden that's expanding out to, I'm going to put it on my mouth guard.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
When do you remember? What was there a moment you said like, "This is a little bigger than I thought it might be"?
I think it was shortly after that we started seeing it a
Yeah.
lot more frequently. And then I think it was the moment for me was when Stevie reached out and said, you know, you guys got something here. What are you going to do with it?
He did.
He
How,
did.
how did he
He
do
did.
that? Who did he reach out to?
He DM'd me.
Yeah.
He did.
Said we should create a Bills Mafia account.
So Stevie Johnson that year after the drop pass
Mhm.
against the Steelers in 14, right?
Mhm.
He reached out to you.
11.
Oh,
10,
I'm sorry, 11.
2010. Yeah.
2010. Sorry about that. 14, I don't know why I said 14.
Total blur.
He reached out to you on a DM. Tell me
Mhm.
about that exchange and where that led.
It led to me freaking out and messaging Dell like, Stevie just gave us orders.
Wow.
So he sent me a DM and said, hey, y'all need to create a Bills Mafia Twitter account and just go hard for the Bills. So I was like, yes, sir.
You did it. And then the media starts to get involved, right? Who says like this Bills Mafia thing, right? Like when did that? Yeah, I mean, look, me, I'm doing this podcast. I'm down in Florida at the time, haven't come back yet. But I mean, like even mainstream media, like what? How did that all happen? They start reaching out to you, TV stations, radio? What happened?
I don't recall any reaching out really. Do you guys?
The Rochester station, Corey Heppola,
Right.
Okay.
Right.
he reached out and we did an interview with him at training camp. This is
That-
like early August 2011.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
actually the first time Dell and I had met in person.
Yeah, yeah.
I was
Yeah, it was-
doing this interview about Bills Mafia. Yeah.
Was there a time early on where it became negative, or people were like, was there any backlash to it? Because yeah, it's great to start these things, right? Everyone's like, yeah. But I know that eventually there becomes that a little bit. But was there a time early on where you're like, okay, like there's some people who just don't like this?
Yeah, we were the nerds of Bills fans.
Yeah.
We were the nerds. Like a bunch of fans used to call us Burls Murphia.
Burls Murphy, Bruce Murphy, like
Yeah.
that. That's how they would do it, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Uh-huh.
I remember that. I
So
know this.
Yeah.
you want to know the first time I realized this got out of hand?
Yeah.
So there was this fan that had one of our shirts that fell off from like the
Oh,
300
gosh.
level. And so there's like a
The person
picture.
slid down the rail.
Yeah, he was wearing one of our
Yeah.
shirts.
So
I
you-
was
so you
at
see the
that game. I
picture.
saw that happen.
I didn't
You
know
see the
that.
picture
I
of
was
him in
wearing
the
a-
wheelchair, and it's like our Bills Mafia shirt right on the front.
Wow. I know. And you know, so
That was a
for me,
precursor to the
so
tables.
I remember, so I come back here in 2011, and this was already when it had started. And then it started, and you're in the middle of the drought, right? We're all in the middle of the
Oh
drought.
yeah.
And the thing was, people went to games, not because the team was really good, but because it was this community event.
Mhm.
And right around this time happening was when all the viral videos started, right? Like that's when, like to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I felt it was unfair to you guys. It was unfair to the Bills Mafia people who want to be a part of this, that every time we'd see on ESPN or we'd see these viral videos, hey, look at Bills Mafia, these people lighting themselves on fire.
Yes.
That wasn't what Bills Mafia was supposed to be started about.
No,
Right.
it was so frustrating because
Right.
at that point we'd registered for a 501c3 and
Okay.
Bills Mafia was a registered, nonprofit
Right.
organization. We were raising money for Roswell Park. And so then to have the name become synonymous with that was
Yeah,
frustrating,
that's
very
to me when
frustrating.
it became a little bit too weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was really for a while. It was really disappointing. The only time Bills Mafia would get any kind of attention would be Deadspin. They even did like a thing like the year in Bills fans. The one year, Deadspin
Mhm.
was really highlighting all that. And Barstool, they did a documentary in like 2017, so that's several years on. It was called like "This Is Bills Mafia" or something like that. It was just all about tables and certain things being thrown on the field, and just like all of
yeah.
that whole end, the college frat end of things, and so that was kind of disappointing for a while because we had been working so hard to make it something that was about lifting up other fans and the charity angle and really just bettering the community. I mean, and listen, everybody's going to get up for a game their own way. If somebody wants to jump through a table, like, be safe about it, but go, do you, but just the fact that one aspect was all that Bill's Mafia was really known for. And I remember, like, those in middle of the summer, Barstool puts out a video and it says, Bill's Mafia at it again. It's some guy jumping off like a roof into a pool or something like that. The guy's wearing a Packers hat. Like the term Bill's Mafia just became synonymous with, like,
anything
crazy,
stupid.
darty activity,
Yeah. And then I know there was a moment there, and there was some backlash from the fans, because the team started using it as their own official hashtag. And tell us the story. How did that all come about? Where did they approach you? How did that kind of become more together, I guess, because you were Bill's Mafia, and the Bills didn't use that. The Bills were not. They almost wanted to disassociate themselves with it because of all these things that we're talking about, right? So what happened there?
So in 2020, the Bills reached out to me, and it was actually through a PR agency. They reached out to me through there, and it was me and Ron Rakuya at a table, and he basically was saying the Bills are really interested in doing something with this Bills Mafia term, and they had developed like their own ideas around it and everything. Still kind of early on in the process to what people know now, and basically I wouldn't say wanted our blessing, but they wanted us to be a part of it in some way. I mean, as much as the three of us could be as part of a giant, corporate kind of thing. But they were really good to us in that I had a couple meetings I had several meetings with Ron, Kim Pagula, a couple other, higher ups at PSE, and they listened to my concerns, because I felt like I was, like we were losing a child, not losing a child, but like our child was growing up and leaving the house. Yeah. Better way to word that. And they were very respectful of that.
Yeah.
And I said, my main concern is I don't want you taking Bill's Mafia and just selling it, just slapping it on every product possible and just like merchandising the heck out of it. Like, Bill's Mafia is so much more than merchandise, says the t-shirt guy, but like, but just being transparent, but it's so much more. Like, it's about community. It's about lifting up, your fellow fan and making the emphasis about the fanhood. I mean, the stuff that happens on the field, 17 plus times a year is just a small part of what Bill's Mafia is. It's really just an extension of, the Western New York, the Buffalo City of Good Neighbors mindset, just expressed through our love of the team. Yeah. And they listened, and they were very, they understood that. And I had a lot of conversations like with different people over there, just about with different ideas and what it would look like and everything. So it was, people think we got paid from it. Did you get any money? I didn't get any money. Did you get money?
I didn't get any money.
But at the end of the day, and people would say, like, why didn't you trademark Bill's Mafia? You can't have McDonald's dudes. You can't have Walmart guys. It's got somebody's trademark in it.
Right.
Gotcha. So, and we always wanted Bill's Mafia to become the name of the fan base.
Yes.
Right.
And this is what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, because you have like Raider Nation, right? That's what it's playing off of. Okay, so Bree, did you ever feel like so Dell gets a lot of the pub, right? Did you ever feel like, hey, I'm part of this too? Like, is there ever a part where you felt, hey, I'm a part of this? And I know he's sitting right next to you, but true. Like, I mean, there's got to be, is there a jealousy involved or anything like that?
I'm going to be completely honest with you, Sal. I've been waiting for this question.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever asked me this, and for years and years, I've been waiting on my time.
Okay.
Now's my time.
All right.
No, I never felt that way. To be completely honest with you, and it's kind of crazy because we've never known each other, like, outside of Twitter, right? Like, we didn't know each other personally or anything like that. We never made a decision without somebody else knowing. Even
Okay.
anything, not with 26 shirts or anything. I'm just talking anything that's Bills Mafia related. If Dale gets a DM about Bills Mafia, let's get a DM. If I do, we instantly message each other like, hey, somebody wants to do something with us, or somebody wants to write a story. Hey, I got an interview. Did you hear from such and such? So I've never not felt included. So
Is it something you love being included on? You strike me as you strike me as the kind of guy that might be okay with the background
yeah,
on it a little bit.
I'm certainly fine with the background. I do
Right.
not. I just don't. I'm not. I'm not a. I'm not really much of a people person in real life.
Right.
Like it's kind of hard to understand, but
Or
I
on
just
Twitter.
don't. Yeah.
Or on social media.
I think everybody in every group, everybody has a role to play, right?
Yeah.
Like I knew what my role was, right? Like I was a Twitter guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, I'm not saying they're not the Twitter people, but I'm just talking. Just I felt like my job was just to keep it going on Twitter. Let them do their thing in New York. I mean, I'm in Virginia. Like, what am I doing in Virginia?
Were you in Virginia at the time? You weren't
Oh
living
yes,
here?
sir. I was in Virginia the whole
Okay,
time.
so
I'm still in Virginia.
how'd you become a Bills fan?
Well, I was born here,
Okay.
right? So I was
Where'd you
born.
grow up?
I grew up in the west. Well, I grew up on the west side as far as I remember.
I got
right?
you. So you were young when you.
Right. I moved when I
got
was like 11.
Okay, I got you.
So
I got
you know, as with everybody that grows up in Buffalo or was born in Buffalo, you are automatically a Bills
Oh
fan.
yeah, right. And you have
So-
family here, right?
Right. Yes. Yes, sir.
So before I want to get to Mafia Babes too and how that started as well, but tell me more about you guys didn't know each other.
At all.
So
Mm-mm.
what was that dynamic like in that relationship? How did you? Okay, so you get this Bills Mafia thing. Like there had to be more people than the three of you talking about the Schefter thing. Like how did it become you three?
Well,
that formed it?
that's a good question. Probably because we were the main ones, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I know I started Schefter Breaking News and we got blocked, and Leslie was talking on our behalf, but I'm not sure.
Maybe that's why just the rise of the voice, right?
Right.
She was, hey,
Right.
I'm here,
Mhm.
and like, hey, and he reaches out to her,
Mhm.
and all that winds up happening. Mafia Babes.
Mhm.
This is a kind of an offspring. Speaking, right? It's an offspring of Bills Mafia. Tell me about it. How did it start? Where does it stand?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure you know you're on social media enough.
Mhm.
It's not always the friendliest atmosphere for
We're gonna get into
female
that in a
fans.
minute.
Yeah, for women, that are interested in sports or
Yeah.
involved in sports. And it actually came out of just a frustration with, dealing with the constant backlash. Anytime any woman says anything about football or about the team, we're told we don't know what we're talking about. Get back in the kitchen. Just all kinds of go play with your Barbie dolls. It's not friendly. And so Mafia Babes kind of grew out of that frustration and needing a space to be able to talk about the games and talk about the team without that backlash. So Kristen Kimmick actually started a Facebook group for that purpose, named it Bill's Mafia Babes.
Mm-hmm.
Threw in about 20 friends. I think I was one of them that was added at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the team moved to trademark Bill's Mafia and the charity aspect of that kind of started to wind down, there was this gap to fill, right? So Mafia Babes just kind of picked up where that left off. And now it's myself and Kristen Kimmick and Laura McKee are the board of directors for that. And we've continued that work through Mafia Babes.
It's awesome. How do you deal with that sometimes? I can't imagine like that what you just talked about and the backlash of people. Like, is that just I mean, and does it still happen a lot to you, even though you're entrenched Bills Mafia football fan, all that?
Oh yeah, it definitely still happens.
Mhm.
I don't know. I have a thick skin. I just kind of let it roll off my back.
I'm a bit of the opposite. I try to as much as I can. I have a lot of Twitter followers, but it gets a little bit tough on me sometimes when people tell you suck,
Mhm.
and the personalization. There's a lot of vile, awful people who tweet at us and say things, right? So I'm sorry you had to deal with that, but it's a great thing you guys are doing. So what is the Mafia? What do the Mafia Babes do now? Like what do you guys do? What are you involved in?
Yeah, so every month we partner with Bill's player, coach, someone like that, to raise funds for a charity that's near and dear to their heart. Right now, we've just started a new initiative. It's called Josh's Closet. We're
Okay.
working with Josh Allen. He's been very generous in giving us items from his personal collection, literally things
Wow.
from his closet that he's signing. And we're raffling off to raise money for Oshai.
That's awesome. Good for you guys. Good for you.
Thank you.
Speaking of Twitter, social media. All right, so Bree, you have, I think, a little bit lately. I think everybody knows you. First of all, still one of the greatest things ever when you put the Sal in history. Like, I mean, the pictures. There's a picture of me. I still laugh all the time. My wife laughs about it. We laugh all the time. It's some of the greatest work you've had, and you've had some great work. So
Thank you,
basically, there's the 2014 one. Sammy Watkins catches the pass against the Vikings to win the game, and I'm on the sidelines looking at Sammy and looking at the feet, and I'm in every picture. So you basically are like, you take that and you Photoshop it into great moments in history, throughout history, and I'm literally at like the Last Supper, and I'm in the Bronco with
Forgot
chasing.
I totally forgot about this.
Right? It's amazing, right? And
Like
you love
almost
it.
10 years ago.
Oh my
It's
gosh, and
fantastic.
I love it so much.
The wild part is that's like my first viral moment.
Really?
Yeah, like because I did the Vine back when Vine was a thing before
Yeah.
TikTok. So
That's
I'm
right.
Team Vine,
That's
by
right,
the way.
yeah.
So
The
I had
kids watching don't know what Vine is.
I know, man. It shows my age right there. Jesus.
Okay, so but you've been viral since then. I mean,
Yes.
are you like an artist? Like, because there's a watermark in there, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I've had. I don't want to sound arrogant, right?
Okay.
But I've had multiple things that went viral as far as like photoshopping videos and everything. And you've learned a long time ago that people just take your stuff, right? And they just use it as their own.
Yep.
So I just put my watermark in there if I feel like, it's necessary. And I guess that was it. But
What's your watermark?
it's just my Twitter handle.
Just your Twitter handle.
Yeah.
All right, so
just find a way to put it in there.
all right, so and you're known for this. It's a very, it's a really cool thing. You've kind of become viral. Lately, I've noticed you've kind of been a little bit more of I'm going to call it a heel turn. Now, you're a Bills fan, but you've had a little bit of battles going on with some Bills fans who kind of are upset at you and think that you haven't been the biggest fan or you're going against other fans. I don't know the best way to put it. But you can kind of maybe explain what your perspective is on it.
To be honest with you, it's been like this for a while.
Okay.
Right. And I think
yes, it has. I shouldn't say lately, but I think lately I've been noticing a little.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I think my issue was always people who decide they want to be objective, not having a voice. I'm not saying I'm the voice for the objective, but for a long time, especially during the drought years, especially when the team wasn't good, people used to talk about how bad the team was, and then you got people saying, "Oh, you're not a real Bills fan," this, that, and a third. And I always thought that wasn't fair because there are two sides that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you don't have to support everything.
Right.
I think everything's great.
Exactly.
If you're a fan.
Right. Like if you feel like there are times where like it doesn't make sense, but I don't think I've ever not really made sense.
Right.
But there are some fans that go overboard with not making sense, which is who I think people are talking to, and I kind of get mixed up in that. But
fan is short for fanatic.
Fair enough. Yes.
Right.
And I understand. I really do understand because I used to be that way until I was like, all right, well, we're like in year 10 of this drought. Like, there's no way. Like, So I just felt like if you can be objective without being crazy, you can also be a fan. Like, you don't have to support every single thing.
Right.
Right. Like, there are, even me, like, even if you don't like what I say, please tell me. You know what I'm saying? But there are always, I think there's two sides to everything. Right. And I just feel like if I feel this way, I'm going to say it, whether people like it or not.
Do you think there's too many content creators now? I
think everybody wants, not everybody, but I think there are a lot of people that want clout. And I know a lot of people do it for the money aspect, so I don't want to tap into people's pockets or whatever, but I've been on Twitter for a long time. Like I know how it works, right? So I can tell when you're putting a little extra positivity on it to get likes and everything, and I just don't. Me personally, I don't like it. I don't think it's real, right? Like, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, but
just trying to play to the fan base,
right? Yes,
get the clicks, get the likes,
right. I just want authenticity, right? And I feel like half of it is just for the likes.
So, but I think to me, I would say there's different people. Like, I mean, I'm in a position where we're for the professional radio company and all those kinds of things. You have to go on there and try and be, balanced. But I also am on the flagship station. I'm on the sidelines. But there are people who they're just fans,
Mm-hmm.
but they also want to create. To me, that is authentic. That's who they are. That's their fit. They're not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't say they're doing it for the likes, but
Mhm.
they're also just, I want to do a Bills show because I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think that can cloud a lot of that sometimes.
Fair enough.
Right?
Mhm.
You know, if that makes sense to you. So where do you consume? Like, where do you get your content from? How do you like? What's good for you to kind of?
I stay away from probably a lot of. I just don't. Back in the day, the only thing I consumed was just Bill stuff, Bill stuff, Bill stuff, Bill
Right,
stuff.
right.
Now I'm just a fan of the NFL in general, right? So I listen to I like what's her name? Who what's I'm sorry, yes,
Mina Kimes.
Yes, Mina Kimes. I love
How
her.
did I know he's talking about Mina Kimes?
Yes,
she's great.
She's fabulous.
She's great.
I like Tim Graham's show. I like Tyler Dunn's show. But I try not to just consume everything Bills. I think that's so I kind of just broaden. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
I
also
got you.
very great in fantasy football. I just want to throw that out there. Listen,
Wait a minute, are you
but
guys
what
in the league
happened
together?
this
yes,
week?
we are.
It's coming from the guy that wasn't allowed to even
Listen,
message in the DM
hey,
until
Tell
we're
him
not-
what
we're not-
happened this week,
Listen,
Bree.
okay, first of all, as the current league champion, I just want to say, yes, I did lose to Leslie this week. So
Do you have a good team?
I think I've got a pretty good team. My record's what, 8-3?
I
8-3.
think so. Yeah.
So 26 shirts. Again, does 26 shirts happen without Bills Mafia?
No, absolutely not. It grew right out of it.
But does it happen without Andy Dalton? And without what happens in 2017?
Well, yeah, because 26 Shirts launched in 2013.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
That's okay.
So,
Does it become what it is? Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I feel like we were on our path before the Dalton thing, because that was more of like just Bills fans in general than 26 Shirts.
Right.
But yeah, so I had the idea to do a 1-year like community service project. It was going to be 26 different shirts, and that was it. I think I was messaging with you guys when I thought it up and everything, and I was going to do it under the umbrella of the Buffalo fan base nonprofit that Leslie mentioned a little while ago, and called my lawyer. That was the lawyer that was helping us with all of our nonprofit stuff, and said, "Here's what I'm going to do." And she says, "You can't do that because you're setting up like a retail company." Which wasn't really the idea, but like you're doing too much retail adjacent activity for the state and the IRS to not be breathing down your nonprofit's neck all the time. And so it became its own separate thing. And I did that with Dan Gigante, who had a company called You and Who, and ended up doing it for more than a year. We just celebrated 10 years, but
a little bit more than
a little bit more than a year, about 10 times as much. But yeah, so it grew out of Bills Mafia. People were always, hitting us up on the Twitter feed. Can you share this? Can you repost this? We were very liberal in terms of like anybody who had a Bills blog, we would share it. We wanted to, lift up the voice of the fans, whether they're authentic or inauthentic or whatever.
They all got
Sure.
sure.
But we wanted because early on with Bills Mafia, we had our own blog, and I've realized like. I felt like I was competing, or we were competing with these other blogs. After a very short period of time, I thought, wait a minute, no, that's not who we are. That's not what we're doing. I'm gonna just share everybody's blogs,
Right.
And so yeah, we have a blog, and Joe Pinzone has a blog, and this person has a blog, and that person has a blog, and Joe's gonna be so thrilled I shouted him out.
Right.
Buffalo wins.
I'm gonna tell him I made you do it. So.
Take the credit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, so we were just
Another one who rails against the establishment, by the way.
He does.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
I think we all can exist in this space, and it needs balance, right? There's no doubt
as
about
long
that.
as there's respect in it, I think that's what it is. As long as people are respectful,
Yeah.
like with the Bills Mafia babes, that's why it's a thing because people are. When I say people, obviously we're talking about men are very disrespectful. So that's where it's an issue.
Listen, I mean, it goes back to what I said before. There are vile people who hide behind anonymous names who.
Yes.
All they want is that reaction, right? And sometimes I say, I can't give them that reaction. You know what I mean, and it gets tough sometimes, all the time when you're dealing with things like that. Go ahead though. I want to ask you about the Dalton thing. So, were you the one who started the donations? How did that?
That was Kevin Forrest from Grand Island, Nebraska.
Okay. So Dalton has the pass to Tyler Boyd.
Mhm.
Bills break the drought. Where were you when the Bills broke the drought?
I was sitting in my living room with a laptop up and the Bills game on because I think both of them were on at the same time, right? Bills and Miami game was
They
on.
were,
and
but
then it went off, right? And
the
then
one
but
ended later. That's correct.
point was I was watching
Yes.
both of them at the
Yes.
same time because I knew what needed to happen. So yes, I was in my living room.
And what'd you do? What was your reaction? What did you go like? Are you one of these guys that going crazy,
No,
or just like wow,
shocked and just stagnant, just sitting in the same spot for a very long time.
Where were you? What were you doing?
It was New Year's Eve, right?
It was.
Yeah. I was at a friend's house. Used to go, gather with the same people every year on New Year's Eve. We were all sitting there watching the game together, and you saw everyone seen the video of the Bills in the locker room.
Yep.
When that pass was completed, that
I have video. I posted that.
Yeah.
There's people hands in the way. I'm trying to get it through there. Yep.
That was essentially, the atmosphere in the living room I was in. Yeah.
That's awesome. How about you? What were you doing?
It was New Year's Eve. We were at our friends Brett and Kim's house with a couple other couples, and just we were gonna watch the game. I brought my laptop with me because we had a shirt designed if they actually won or not, a playoff design we were gonna push live for 26 shirts. And
did you do it?
Yeah, but I remember at one point, what is it? He threw the interception. Dalton threw an interception that ended up being called back.
Yeah.
He threw the interception, and I closed my laptop, and I was like, I'm done. And all of a sudden, it gets called back, and I had to scramble because all the work I had saved in case they had won, I lost because I was a big baby about it, and I had to do it all over really
Was
quickly.
it like a Ken Dorsey reaction?
No, it wasn't quite.
Okay.
I'd have gotten in trouble with the wife if I'd have been like throwing my laptop around. Or
So this Kevin Forrest is the person who started the donation thing.
Yeah.
So what happens? He just, if I remember right, it's just like this thing, hey, what a great thing. Like, he's got his charity. Let's help him out. Thank you for, really just as simple as that, right?
Simple as that. And people were on it. And then when I saw it was happening, probably several hours later, because we were at a friend's house, I did my best to promote it as well too. But that was Kevin's idea. And it's pretty cool. Like, Kevin's actually become like a pretty good friend through all of this. He
lives in Nebraska still?
No, he's moved now. I think they're in Florida now. They've bounced around a couple of times there. But they're in Florida right now. I think they just recently moved, him and his wife and their children. So later that year, 2018, the Bengals were playing the Bills in a preseason game.
Yeah, that's right.
You remember the Bills even had a big celebration for Andy Dalton. He came out. It was so cool. His foundation reached out to me and Kevin and invited us to go along on a tour of like thanking Buffalo for the day beforehand. And I was like, "Are you sure you want me to like this was Kevin's idea? I'm not trying to take any credit." And I think if I remember correctly, they said, "No, you were part of it, and Kevin really wants you to go too." So we went out for breakfast that morning. Kevin and his wife and Chrissy and me, and we just like hit it off. The two couples, like we just like if they lived here, we'd probably be hanging out with them. Like
that's awesome
on the regular. They're just really cool people. But I forgot where I was going with that story. But yeah, it's Kevin's idea.
Your foundation, 26 Shirts, and your company is about helping people, and we know that. There's been a lot of, children, sick families who need help. You're currently dealing with one.
I am, yeah.
Tell everybody about Milo.
Yeah, so Milo, excuse me.
I don't mean to make you emotional here, but
yeah.
it's Sal's house.
No,
it's okay.
It's all right. He's Milo's 11 now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was maybe 5 days before his 7th birthday. A few weeks prior to that, Milo started exhibiting some really concerning and really strange kind of symptoms. He started telling us, I remember one day he was telling me, "Mom, everything's blurry. I can't see anything." I said, "What do you mean?" And he got frustrated with me for asking that. And he took a book and held it, right up to his face. And he goes, "I hold it like this and I can't see anything." And I held the book to my face. I said, "Yeah, buddy, when I hold it this close, I can't read the words either." He had an eye exam. Everything was fine. Just a lot of weird symptoms that every step of the way, everything was fine and everything was explainable until it wasn't.
Sure.
So a night came about where it really couldn't be ignored and was not explainable anymore. So we took him to the ER. Actually, I thought that he had diabetes. Those were the symptoms he was showing. We thought he had diabetes. So we took him in. I'm very, very thankful to the doctor that was on staff that night. She's brilliant, from Fredonia, works at Brooks Memorial Hospital. And as soon as we walked in, she knew what was going on. And she said, I'm going to send him for an MRI just to check things out. And turned out he had a brain tumor. They found it that night. We were sent to Oshai right away. They've been phenomenal, by the way. They've been absolutely phenomenal. Milo has a papillary craniopharyngioma, which a craniopharyngioma in and of itself is really rare. It's like a 1 in a million kind of thing. There's 2 subtypes. One primarily affects children, one primarily affects adults. Milo happens to have the adult subtype, which is just unheard of in children. I've actually had doctors tell me that's not possible. You must have that wrong. Until they look at, everything that's been done, and they look at the biopsy and everything, they go, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's right. Which made it a little more interesting because, the standard for this tumor is you go to St. Jude's. That's what you do. They are the leading experts on this. We were not eligible to go to St. Jude's because he has the adult subtype of the tumor and they don't treat that. So even though he's a child, they were really willing to advise and kind of walk us through things and were with us every step of the way, but they couldn't treat him. So that made it tricky.
So where do things stand now?
He's doing really well. He's doing very well.
I mean, you had an appointment today with him, I think, even before you came here. Is that correct?
That was my other son, actually.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that was my other son. He's got his own things going on. No, but Milo's doing really well. He goes for MRIs regularly. He has actually never had any specific treatment.
Okay.
He had a surgery performed at Oshai by Dr. Davies, who's absolutely incredible. He saved Milo's eyesight. I 100% credit him for that because he was starting to lose his vision.
Yeah.
But he had the surgery for the biopsy, and when they did that, they sort of, I don't want to get too graphic. The doctor said they opened it up and cleaned it out, is what he said.
Will they be able to get rid of it, or is he going to have to live with it?
He lives with it right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They dissected it away from his optic nerves.
Gotcha.
And ever since then, they do the MRIs and they tell us it's barely visible. It's there, but it is barely visible.
He's in good spirits?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Oh, yeah. He's
Always.
a great kid.
Yeah.
He is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's doing good. He's got a number of secondary conditions that came from that, but they're all really well managed.
I mean, I know that you can't ever put one cause or person in front of another, but I mean, for you see a lot of this all the time, and any of them that, stand out. I mean, I don't know. I mean, know how to ask you this, but I mean, like anybody that, that really hits you that that you can kind of share?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, obviously it's a blessing that we were able to help Milo. I mean, you don't even want to be in that position.
Of course.
Having that personal connection.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd be in that
I think I had to,
never.
I think we almost argued about it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll say before you talk here about this, so I had a cousin that was dealing with cancer, and the spouse of a cousin, but a cousin through marriage, right? But my cousin was married, somebody had cancer, and actually you guys did a shirt, and you didn't know. And I reached out and said, hey, you're doing this shirt. That's my cousin. You're like, I had no idea. And unfortunately, my cousin passed away since. But you're right. I mean, like, you never know what a small community we have here that everybody's touched. And that happens all the time, I'm sure.
Yeah. Buffalo is really 1 degree. You're 1 degree away from everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
In Western New York. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's been a couple opportunities where I've been able to help somebody I actually knew beforehand. One cool thing was we helped our friend, because she's my friend, Sean and Amanda Allen, dear friends, known them forever. She was actually in our video that we put out last week. We did a shirt for them because their last name's Allen, and
spelled the same.
Spelled the same.
Okay.
And it was in the shape of a buffalo, and the name of the shirt was Allen is Buffalo. And Josh, our creative director, is a wizard. He actually made it look at the back legs look like a 17 a little bit if you
Mhm.
look at it the right way. So that was cool to be able to help them, and it was really cool. Josh Allen retweeted it when he saw it, and we didn't tag him in it. Like we're not, obviously it says Allen and everything, but we didn't tag him like trying to get. But he somehow saw it.
Right.
Somebody tagged him, and he shared it, which was really special. So it's cool to be able to help friends when they get into some kind of bind with a medical issue.
Right.
But at the same time, like these strangers, they're somebody else's friend. They're
Yeah.
they're all we're all the same. And I tried for a while. I realized I was putting a wall up in my heart with these families that we were helping because it was becoming like transactional. I wasn't trying to, but it's almost like a self-defense mechanism.
Sure.
There was one little girl that we helped in like the first year or so we were doing it, and just following her story, and then she passed away. It just really like wrecks you,
Yeah.
and so I found myself putting up that wall subconsciously. And then the next year, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was that same year, got invited to a little girl's party where they were celebrating her last chemo treatment, and ended up ringing the bell and all that, and beat cancer. And it was such an honor to be invited to that party, that celebration with family and everything, and having some the people in the past that we've held have described me or 26 Hertz as the family, and so you can't celebrate the wins if you're not going to be a part of the losses as well too. And so it's a constant fight in my heart to let their stories sink in, and really understand. Like every time I say it, and I say it so often, I forget how true it is. Like every family we meet, we're meeting them at the worst time of their lives. Like that's like you don't want to meet Dell from 26 Shirts, in that way,
Sure.
or whatever, because like it means that something's gone sideways, and so it's just it's unfair for me to say one. I remember one over the other, or one is better than the other, or one was more significant, because they're all somebody's
course.
son, somebody's daughter. But I feel like I'm rambling now, so I apologize.
No, it's
but
okay.
It's just
I've modeled shirts. Had you ever modeled a 26 shirt?
I'm gonna be honest. I've been asking Dell for years, and they finally let us do one. And I was so excited. Oh, I was so excited. Yeah. So we did. What was it, about 3 years ago?
3 years ago.
We did a Mafia shirt.
Yeah,
All three of us, and I was in my glory. Like I waited so long for this.
And you were in Royal. You don't wear
Yes,
Royal.
Yes.
You got him to wear a blue shirt.
I wore black Air Forces and everything. I think it was like during COVID or anything, because I had like a black scarf thingy.
It was like just after, it was like 2021, so it was
Okay.
sort of in it, But
Fair enough. But listen, every time I seen somebody else that I know on there, I was like, he's doing this on purpose. I've asked him every time.
What about you?
Yeah,
You modeled it?
we did one all together.
Right.
Yeah, the three of us.
How do you handle the notoriety that comes along with all this? Are you cool with it? You like it?
How do I handle it? I pass the spotlight to Dell.
Facts.
Yeah.
So you're okay also to kind of being like, same question I asked him earlier. Like Dell gets a lot of the love, a lot of the pub, and we all understand why. But
yeah,
sometimes you wonder, like, is that you'd rather have that, or how does that
yeah.
work?
I mean, I'm okay with it when people know. I don't like try to hide it, but I
Yeah.
also don't go out of my way to make sure people know.
I get it.
Kristen Kimmick, whenever we're together and we're talking to someone, she's the one that blows up my spot every time. Hey, do you know who this is? Do you know who that is? And I'm like, shh.
You have season tickets? Do you go to games?
I do.
You
Yeah.
do? All right.
Yeah.
And like, what's the game day experience like for you?
What's the game day experience like? I usually get there pretty early, and I am what I would call a nomad tailgater.
Okay.
I'm a nomad. I don't set up a camp. I used to go and cook at the games and everything. I don't do that anymore. So I either bring something with me to eat, or I just get something when I go inside, and I just roam around from tailgate to tailgate, visiting people.
Did your kids go?
Milo's actually coming to the next game with me.
I love it. All
Yeah.
right, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. How many games you get to? You try to go to games? You try to come up, you go to away games down.
If
in-
my bank allows me to, then yes. But I've been to a few games, so I'm just gonna put out there for the record that when me and Les sit together, we're undefeated.
All right.
So we're now 3-0. We was at the game this last game.
Mhm.
Then the game that we were at before this one was the Buccaneers game. So you do the math.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, anytime.
I know. I mean, I know you go to games. You go to every game, or
Yeah, all the home games, and we try to get to one away game a year too.
which one is that this year?
We were at the Washington game.
Okay, well, so it's a win
It was
on
a
that
good
one
game.
too,
Yeah.
right? A win on that one. Once again, I want to remind everybody, thank you. Speaking of tailgating, speaking of food, Sports City Pizza Pub, we want to thank them. 1407 Niagara Street. Last thing, this guy, fan of the year right here for the Buffalo
Yes.
Bills, right? Nominated. And tell us about the process. What happened here? I mean, I know that I saw some voting going on a while ago, and then here it is, Stevie Johnson. Tell everybody what happened and how it came about.
My wife is a determined person. Like when she found out that they did a fan of the year thing, she said, "I'm gonna tell people to vote for you." I'm like, "Whatever, it's fine." And she goes, "No, like we're gonna do this." I'm like, "I'm not
Because
being
the
a
Bills,
part of this."
every team gets a fan of the year,
Mhm.
and then it goes into like the NFL fan of the year. Is that
yeah,
the process?
Yeah.
Who, if I remember, was Elvis? Was
Yep.
he was right?
Mhm.
John.
Yep.
I think his name is John. He
Yep.
he was one that was nominated. I'm sure there were others too, but so you get so it's like a voting process online, right?
Yeah, you have to basically you have to get nominated by your fellow fans, and she put out the information like, "Here's what you need to know." Like, I think they want to know like my birth date and my season ticket holder. Like, so she like doxed me pretty much in order to get in order to get these votes. Then she was hitting up everybody, almost everybody we'd ever met, like on Twitter. She even like I grew up with Jeff Glore from CBS. She said
Yes.
she had Jeff actually. She made me ask Jeff, about it, like, or I maybe connected them because I felt really weird during the whole process. I don't like doing that stuff, but so Jeff was out there stumping for me on Twitter and everything, and
That's cool.
it was really it was cool. And so yeah, it was a cool thing. The Bills tricked me into saying that they told me that I was going to do an interview about the early days of BillsMafia.
Like this kind of.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we started here.
And I don't know if I reached out to you guys or not about it, but I remember thinking like they're probably going to be in touch with them or something. But anyway, so I'm walking down the hallway, down the tunnel rather, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're having everybody run out." I'm like, that's really weird.
Did they tell you Stevie was going to be there?
No.
Oh, okay.
So they said, "Oh yeah, just tell us the story about Billsmafia." Then you run out the tunnel and whatever. So I ran out the first time. They said that wasn't good enough. You got to do it again because I guess Stevie wasn't ready, but I didn't see him. And they said try to run out to about the 10-yard line. I'm like, all right. So I run out to the 10-yard line, like my unathletic self probably look at it, and all of a sudden I hear Dell, you're open. Like that sounds like Stevie. What? Why is Stevie here? Why is he wearing a jersey? What's going on? And then the ball's in the air, and I'm thinking I'm not even at the 10-yard line yet. And I'm like being the OCD, like I said I had to go to the 10-yard line. And so that's why I dropped the pass.
And
they
then
didn't take any of the 10 minutes.
Right.
They didn't take any of the 10 minutes where I got to play catch with Stevie. I'd play catch like not one drop, like every perfect pass. None of that made the video.
We
But
believe
to be
it.
fair, it was like pretty serendipitous that you
Right.
dropped the pass.
The irony.
Given the,
right?
Yeah,
given
yeah.
the
I think
beginnings
Stevie
of
had mentioned that on
Mafia.
Twitter, so
Wow.
it was meant to be. So,
Yeah.
who might have
I
fight
didn't even
destiny?
think about that part of it. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, the whole thing comes full circle. Right?
Yeah.
They dropped the
Right.
pass.
Right.
Right. All right. So then you and your Stevie are talking. You're like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, pretty much. He says, "Hey, they wanted me to be the one to tell you." And at this point, I still have no idea what is going on because that whole voting thing was 2 months prior, and I hadn't thought about it much anyway. And he lifts up his jersey and says "Fan of the Year," and I remember just like after that, it was kind of a blur. It was really like, what is going on? And then some members of the Bills came up, and they said, "Yeah, it was almost unanimous in terms of that."
Hey.
It was. I was like, "That's my wife. She was hitting the pavement." And they gave me that giant ticket and gave me the jersey and had me go do a photo shoot and came out and did an interview and everything. It was a big whirlwind thing. I think if you watch the video, I hugged Stevie. I think maybe twice of it. I hugged him
too.
I hugged him like 50 times that day. Like I kept telling him like, "I'm so glad you were part of this. I'm so glad." It was really. They made it special. The Bills made it really special. It was cool. Yeah, and so we get to go to the Super Bowl.
So you get to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. This will be it. This will be the only time I go to the Super Bowl in my life, I'm sure.
You and your wife. You
Yeah.
get 2 tickets they give you, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It has to be her, right? Like she's the one that put all the
Oh yeah, I mean,
effort in.
yeah, of course, and you got to bring her. And it's in Vegas.
It's in Vegas.
It's in Vegas, and
Yeah.
who knows if the Bills can make it happen, right? to get there this year. I mean, it's a little uphill climb right now.
Yeah, so I got that, your fan of the year. I'm like, oh, it's destiny. The Bills are definitely going to make it in the Super Bowl. This is just, it's got to be. And then the next couple games go by, I'm like,
lose the next two.
well, maybe it's going to be a really cool destiny story. Yeah, still hold it out.
All right, Bree, I feel like people just don't know a lot about you. Tell everybody maybe something about you that no one, that maybe, you know what, people don't know this about me. Wait, just give me something, anything. What would it be? You have a talent, you have a like, an interest.
Well, I guess my talent is riling people up on Twitter. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think what people don't know is they think that I'm like doing it on purpose, like being the way that I am on Twitter. I'm not trying to do it on purpose. Again, like I said, I think somebody has to be.
When I said before, turn heel, you're not doing that. It's not like a WWE thing.
Right, no.
You're being yourself. You're being authentic.
Sometimes, yes.
Right?
Of course, sometimes, yes. But most of the time, it's literally what I feel like, or how I think, or how I feel. And it's, I don't know. I've had multiple people meet me in real life and say, hey, I love that you're this way because there's substance behind what you say. Like, it's nothing crazy, So I think that's why I haven't really changed. Even like it's me. It's literally what I say on Twitter is the same thing I'm gonna say off Twitter, right? So I think the fact that people literally come to me and say, "Hey, I actually like that it's not nothing crazy." You know what I'm saying? So
and what is the Twitter handle, everybody?
At Bree_88. Oh, I do have I have a twin sister.
I love to see that. That's what I'm after.
Okay, there we go.
Wait.
Now we're getting
Hold
real
on a second. Wait, you are the guy that says like Fred Jackson gets too much. Like people love him. He has a twin brother. You have a twin sister.
Well, so maybe that's what I should have used. So I really do like Fred Jackson. I love Fred. I actually met him. I don't know if I ever told this story on in real life, like on set or whatever.
Okay.
I'm on set all the time. I'm never.
It's like this is like a step. It's
right. Yeah. But I met him at an airport one year. And it was my first time and only time ever meeting a Bills player. And I knew he had a twin brother, right? So I saw him, I saw a guy that looks like Fred. I was like, oh, snap, that kind of looks like Fred Jackson. But he was with like his wife and like his mother-in-law and like their two kids or whatever, right? I saw the 22. I don't know what I was thinking, but he walked past and I said, if I get an inkling that it's Freddie, I'm going to say something. And I turn around and two kids had Jackson on the back of their jersey. So I was like, okay. So then I go up and I introduce myself. And obviously, I'm fanning for the first time. So I introduce myself as my Twitter handle.
I'm Bree_88.
I'm at Bree_88, right? And I thought, again, I've never met a player before. I don't know how this works. So I'm like, okay, cool. That was it for me. So he's like looking at me a little crazy as if like, because he's done this a million times, right? So he's asking me, hey, like, do you want a picture? I'm like, oh, snap. Yeah, I guess I do. So then, like, we take a picture and I'm about ready to walk off. And he's like, do you want me to sign something? So I was like,
I love that he walked you through.
Right.
Holding your hand through the whole process.
Literally did. Like, he's honestly the nicest person. Now that I know how to be a fan, I'm waiting for the next opportunity to meet him. So.
Well, listen, the reason we bring it up is long story short, basically, Fred was a good player during the drought.
Yes.
But you're kind of always reminding people, but that doesn't make you a great player.
Correct.
I think, is that the best way I could say it?
Yes, and that's the only thing I've been saying, and all of a sudden it's turned into Breyon hates Fred Jackson. And I don't understand why. And like, I think what really clicked for me was when we got LaShawn McCoy. And I was like, this is an elite running back that we have. That is not what Fred was. Granted, he was a very bright spot, loved him. I think my favorite Fred Jackson memory is outside the airport. Is the New England game where he rushed for like 160 when all we could do was run the ball. It's like the win game, or not the 10-3 win game, but the other win game back there, the drought.
Oh, so not the 2011 game when he caught the pass at the end and the Bills beat them. Everybody went crazy. He was run on with the flag. Was that the game? It might have been New England game. everybody was like, "Oh my God, they beat." You remember that game, right?
Oh, I remember
2011,
that game.
the Bills
no,
win.
no,
That was
no,
a
not
This is a
that.
different
No,
game.
not that one. That was the Fitzpatrick one, right?
Yeah,
That was
Fitz.
3-0 start. No,
Yeah,
no,
that's
it was
right.
a different one. I think we
I
lost.
got you.
The one I'm talking about, we lost. Of
I
course.
got you.
But I'm fairly certain all we could do was run,
Right.
and he gained like 160 yards. Maybe it was he had a 200-yard game, but I think that was the Colts game when he had to get 1,000 yards. But
Right.
the one I'm thinking is 160.
So does he? So okay, his new stadium's coming. They're gonna have a Ring of Honor. Like they're gonna transfer the Wall of Fame. Whatever. Fred's not worthy.
Not on the wall, and
Who's-
I can say this because he's
Yeah.
still got me blocked. So you know, he's
Who's
like,
it?
oh, that guy,
Who needs to go on the wall? Who's the guy? Eric Moulds?
Well, yeah,
Kyle Williams.
Kyle Williams.
If we're talking like a drought player, Kyle Williams,
Mhm.
he was an All Pro. He was a couple of Pro Bowls.
Right.
Eric Moulds, obviously, yes.
How about you? You interact with players? You know, what's your experience there?
Yeah. I've never met one that wasn't kind and gracious, and I've never had an experience like Breeze where they've walked me through every step of the way.
Want a picture? Want me to sign something?
Yeah. I've finally gotten to a point, I think, where I'm no longer starstruck. I say that I have not met Josh Allen or Stephon Diggs,
So you don't know.
so I don't know, but I've gotten to a place where I'm comfortable.
Well, maybe that's what we need for the Bills Mafia babes. Thank you all so much for being here and
Thank
being
you
a
for
part
having
of
us.
this. This is really cool. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you're able to find Sal's house and be in Sal's house. A couple people I want to thank here. Of course, told you all about it. Sports City Pizza Pub, 1407 Niagara Street. They have amazing wings, all different flavors, great pizza. Stop by there. Tell Mike and the gang we sent you. And my wife, Yana, who is, you know what? I have to be honest, guys. Like, I've had this idea and this vision to do this for a while. She's the one that said, get off your tricycle and on your horse. Let's go. Let's do this. And she did it. And that's why we're in Sal's house. We have a lot more coming your way. So, Yana, thank you very much. And for allowing us to use your house, Yana. We appreciate that. Of course, Sal Sports is the YouTube page where you're watching this. Please subscribe to the channel. Always appreciate everybody. And Sal's House is a production of Capaccio Media. Thank you.